There we go. Okay, welcome everybody. Baruch Hashem, we are having our life skill series Pesach prep edition. So, this year, by amazing hashgacha pratis, my sister is getting married right before Pesach. So my Pesach preps had to be super duper extra ahead of schedule. We're leaving a week from today, and we're coming back like right before Pesach. So our entire house, apartment, kitchen, everything has to be done before like by Tuesday. So that's why I've been so inspired over the last several years. I've worked a lot on my Pesach preparations. Pesach used to be incredibly stressful for me. And then I decided not to do that for my family. So I am here trying to share whatever tips and wisdom I can share to help other people have a stress-free Pesach. Um, the way that I decided to do it is that over the years, I've learned from mistakes and I've learned from learning, and meaning from other people, learning from other people. So I will share what works for me, and then at the end, we will have like more of like a question and answer. We can stop the recording if people want, and do some troubleshooting and see if I'm able to help you with what works for you. So that's the plan for today. So as I said earlier, I'm sorry that my handwriting, I have to share. I'm gonna share screen. Um, and my handwriting is not exactly what I love, but being that my house is basically Pesach cleaned, I spent a big chunk of my time over the last few weeks just cleaning for Pesach. Okay, so one of the first things that I started to do is make a menu for myself. I actually did this way before, like even before thinking about Pesach per se, because A, it gives me what to look forward to. And B, it also allows me to keep an eye out for like any sales. Like recently there was a sale on salmon, or so it might not everything is kosher Pesach at the right time, but if you have kind of an idea of what you should be on the lookout for, then I personally enjoy it. And I used to stress a lot that Pesach food used to be not enjoyable for me. So I decided to work on myself and be excited about the flavors of Pesach. I no longer try to recreate, like I'm not like trying to make fake things. I'm more like trying to enjoy. Okay, I'll give an example. If you're trying to make something that you already like, it's already delicious for you, and then on Pesach it just doesn't taste the same, so it could be more of a disappointment. So instead, I decided to learn new recipes that I can enjoy and really have a great time, having over Pesach that are special for us, that are like related to Pesach. So
And Schneer is like on track to. Okay.
okay, 1 second. I'm going to mute everybody. Um, hold on. There we go. So, so one of the first things I've done is make a menu for myself. And what I did was I went through the purple cookbook, the Pesach edition, and I actually printed out, I have it here. Um, a friend of mine, her name is Deborah Leah Wagshul. Um, she hasn't, like, I mean, I printed it out because I enjoy the paper, but she has a link. I think I've sent it out on the Mixodus and other places a few times, where she has compiled a lot of Pesach recipes that are Chabad, minhagim friendly. So it's really, really fun to just go through it and say, okay, this is something that looks easy. This is something that my kids would enjoy. This is something that our guests would enjoy. This is something I feel comfortable making. And that way you can make an image for yourself, something that you're looking forward to for Pesach. What I do is that I made a menu. I think at the end of Pesach, I tweaked it a little bit, and otherwise, I just keep doing the same menu, which is really cool because a lot of these things I only really eat on Pesach. So it's not like I feel bored just because I use the same menu, but it's more like it takes away the like decision-making fatigue of having to come up with a brand new menu every single year. So once I came up with a new menu, maybe I'll make a few, edits here and there, but otherwise it's the exact same menu. I think this menu that I'm showing here on the screen is probably maybe like 3 years ago. I think maybe I've changed one or two things, but otherwise my kids like it, I like it. And I already know how to do the recipes, so I feel confident and comfortable to like, use my Pesach kitchen, which is not as advanced as my regular year kitchen, and I'm still able to make food that my family likes and that I enjoy. Um, the other thing that I started to take into consideration is literally making a list of the Seder stuff. As you can see on the left side, it says Seder stuff. Because we sometimes don't really like take it into consideration in our cooking, but really it's a good we have to have it done, and then we end up like rushing, like, oh my gosh, right, the lettuce, the thing, the Zraya, whatever it is. So, another thing I did for myself is I made a mental note, or not a mental, I made a written note of which ones to keep dry, because every year I have to double check, like, oh, 1 second, the charesis, do we add it? Do we not add it? Do we smush it? Is it dry? Is it wet? So that really helped. Um, a really, really big part of my Pesach cooking is to make sure that we don't come into Pesach hangry Erev Pesach and hangry first night Seder is just very, very sad. So I started making an entire Erev Pesach. We call it a snack, but really it's a meal. By the time we get to Shulchan Aruch, it's very late. So I don't consider that like a dinner. I kind of feed my kids. So I make a potato kugel, I make some sort of chicken, and I make some hard-boiled eggs. All of these are allowed. We're not meant to eat like lettuce and whatever other things from the Seder, but potato kugel, chicken, and eggs is fine. Um, we also make a little bit of extra, let's say gefilte fish or something or other that the kids can snack on if need be. Um, my first course entails gefilte fish. I have an eggplant dip that I really enjoy. I can share some recipes afterwards if anybody would like. Mock liver is super easy, which actually reminds me I have to give a tip on that one. Mock liver is same parts, like the same exact amount parts of hard-boiled eggs, almonds, and sautéed onions, and you put it in a food processor, and it is so delicious. You add some salt just for flavoring, and it is just amazing. Beet salad, I mean, it's pretty simple. Depends however you make your beets, but you can peel them and then boil them, or you can peel them and then roast them in the oven and then cut it up. I usually shred some like carrots. Basically, over Pesach, it's just kind of finding that the flavor of the thing and how to bring out the flavor of the thing. Like we don't have other sauces, we don't have other, so we just kind of how does this taste and how can I bring out the flavor? So sometimes, for example, for the tropical salad, it's shredded carrots and it's cucumber. I think I add some kohlrabi, I'm pretty sure. And then I squeeze an orange on top. It's really yum. Or maybe sometimes I even put the pineapple juice as well on top. Pesach potato salad, you peel the potatoes. You I actually make my own mayo. So out of things that I do beforehand, let me go into that for a minute. The week before, or as soon as I have my kosher le Pesach kitchen, one of the things I do is I make mayo, because the mayo just adds like a little extra excitement to any, like when all you can really eat is potatoes and carrots and sweet potatoes and whatever. So like having a little bit of mayo just adds. Mayo is very simple to make with a hand blender, as we call it, a zhuzher. You can look up any recipe. I have in the link that I sent out, I also sent out a recipe for it. It's super easy. It's like really cool. Every year I'm like, oh wow, I should really do this all year round, but then again I don't. Um okay. Chicken soup is simple and straight. I think anybody who's done chicken soup can know how to make a chicken soup for Pesach. So roasted, um, so basically we grab a roast, we soak it overnight with onions and whether it's sweet wine or grape juice, and then salt, essentially, because what else can you put in there? I think sometimes we do carrots. We put it in like a Ziploc bag overnight. Then the next day we put it in a tray, and then we put it low and slow overnight in the oven. And then when you pull it out, it just in the morning, it just pulls apart. It is delicious, super easy. Not a big hassle. I don't do big hassle type of things. Okay, I guess my next one is more of a hassle. Funny, I should mention. So caramelized shallots and tomato jam. I have that recipe as well that I can share with people. I basically take shallots, saute them. Um, I then caramelize it. Like I do it till the point of caramelization, and then I do it the same with tomatoes. I peel a bunch of tomatoes, I chop them into cubes, and then I just low and slow on the stovetop, low and slow on the stovetop until it feels like a jam or a jelly. And then I put it on top of salmon or chicken and put it in the oven, and it is heavenly. It is just so good. Sweet potato rings. It's just sweet potatoes. You peel them, chop them into rings, whatever. Apple and sweet potato kugel. We shred them in. We shred a bunch of apples and then we shred a bunch of sweet potatoes, and then we put them in line like layers, and we add egg and I think orange juice or no grape juice. I think a bit of salt. Stick it in the oven. It's delish. Um, and then potato kugel is basically the same. Okay, so that's my menu. But now that I got excited about Pesach and I can make a menu and I can think about a menu instead of being like, oh my gosh, Pesach is in 3 days and I haven't even thought about what I'm cooking. Now let's go back to the cleaning. So I'll stop the sharing for a minute and let's discuss a bit of cleaning. So when it comes to cleaning, I have two steps. This is what I've learned over the years. I used to absolutely, as I said earlier, I used to absolutely dread Pesach cleaning and Pesach preps because I used to be even more sentimental. So for me to like go through old stuff and then I start looking at pictures and I start reading the thank you cards and then and then like 5 hours later, I haven't even gone through anything and I haven't cleaned anything. So now, Baruch Hashem, I've read Rivka Caroline's book From Frazzled to Focused. I read it a few years ago, made a huge impact in my life, and I decided to do two parts. Part one is declutter, and part two is clean. So my goal is that from Hanukkah till Purim, I do decluttering. So I go through, like the old papers, or I just find a home for everything. Like sometimes these random tchotchkes like just hang around the house and they don't really have a home to land in where they belong. So I try and find a home for everything before um okay, I'll get to it in a second. I just saw the questions. Um anyway, so I find a home for things. I just try to like separate. So if you're just starting now, I would take a moment to do like, even if you can hire some help or something, like step one is kind of like just declutter, like find homes for things, whatever. And again, I also remind myself, Pesach is just 1 week. Like if I don't need this thing for a week and it's gonna take me forever to clean it for Pesach, I just put it away and I sell it. Like it could be a box full of papers that I just never went through, and it happens to be that they were on the table, so maybe there's matzah or chametz or whatever crumbs on it. By the time I go through it and I sort it and da 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 da, it's not worth it. I wasted a lot of time on it. So sometimes you just have to make decisions. Is this worth going into? Do I really need it over the week of Pesach? If I don't need it over the week of Pesach, sometimes it's just better to seal it, put it away in a closet, and sell the closet. So there's many things that over the years I've been like, okay, I have a filing cabinet. I don't need to go through my filing cabinet, even if Baruch Hashem, it's not like we eat on it. But let's say some papers on there were on the table while we had challah. I can survive an entire week without it, without going through my filing cabinet. I just seal the thing, put tape on it, and say sold for Pesach. Zil. So if you're able to make that simpler for yourself, that's great. 1 second. Um, okay. So step one, declutter and organize. Like for example, I had certain books. As many of you know, I'm a bookaholic, so I just sometimes have books here, have books here, have books everywhere. Um, yes, I agree. I'm gonna comment that in 1 second. So many times I have books all over the place, and we don't I don't need to, first of all, if the books have been on the shelf since last Pesach and they weren't put on the table, I don't have to take every single book out, shake it, and wipe it. Not every single book in my bookshelf has been out, and I can tell that because of how dusty some of them are. So I'm like, yeah, this has definitely been a year. If you don't remember using the book this year and it's not in an area that would regularly get chametz on it, you don't have to go there. Dust isn't chametz, exactly. Many years ago, I used to clean the like take off the dust from the chandeliers, and my husband's like, "There's no chametz up there." So now we joke like, "When am I gonna clean the chandelier if it's not for Erev Pesach?" But aside from that, we do not need to be cleaning chandeliers. Like this is not a cleaning spring fest. This is, where does chametz go? Where do little kids' chametz stick of hands go? Where does our chametz go? And how can I clean that spot in specific? And again, as I said earlier, if you can live without it for a week, it's not worth it. Like, close it, put it away, sell it. You do yourself a favor. Um, okay, so once I've kind of organized my stuff and I've kind of cleared off counters or just like organized the places where chametz might have been. So then my next step is I make a list of what rooms need to be cleaned and what things in that room need to be cleaned. So like for example, my kids' toys. Certain toys need to be cleaned. Certain toys don't even can't be cleaned. Like I'm not really gonna go clean every single piece of a 100-piece puzzle. Like it's just not, I don't need it. I can live a week without that puzzle. So certain toys, what we do is that we separate. We take the toys that can be cleaned and I put them, I have bins for every single toy. So then slowly but surely, what I do is I give my kids baths with the toys and they wash them as they're in the bath. They have fun. I have helpers. It's just like a win-win for all. Um, then I also take the toys. So basically, as soon as they're clean, for the first thing I do in my house is I clean my room. So at least we have one area, one room that can be kosher lepesach, and I don't eat chametz in my room anyway, so it's a very simple clean. And then as soon as those toys or whatever is ready for Pesach, I bring it into my room, and then it's like, stored away, and it's not like being brought back into the kids' room and then chas v'shalom they come in with their pretzels or whatever. We're not rewashing anything. So all their toys end up hidden or stacked at different levels in my room for a week or two or however many weeks. And then I let them, because the balance is, on the one hand, you want to clean the stuff. On the other hand, sometimes you have to use the stuff. So we leave the toys that are not going to be cleaned for Pesach. We leave them out for the kids. And then once everything is sealed off and our apartment is completely chametz free, so then we take all the toys that are not going to be cleaned for Pesach, we put them in the closet that's going to be sold, and then we bring out the kosher LePesach toys, and then that way they always have what to play with, and they're not, because another big issue is that like, mommy, I'm bored, because now we cleaned up all the toys and now they're not available. So there's that aspect. So anyway, along these lines, I make a list of every single room and what are the things. Like in the living room, the couch needs to be, whether it's the pillows need to be cleaned or the couch pillows or the covers, or they need to be sprayed and vacuumed and whatever. And then I make a list. So main room, table, chairs, da 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 da. Kitchen, the cabinets, the sink, the whatever. So for every room, and then I take whether it's a few days, depending on how large your home is or how large your apartment is. And then I split it up into chunks every single day. So that way it's not this like huge, overwhelming, gigantic ordeal. It's more like, okay, our goal for today is to have go through the closets and clean them off. It's sometimes, by the way, a reminder about what's halakhically considered an issue and it's not an issue. Sometimes you just have to take the stuff out, shake it off. You don't have to wash all your laundry. You just have to, shake it off, check the pockets or whatever, not even if if they've already been washed. And then you can put everything, like, wipe the inside and then put everything back in. Like, you don't have to go and check if it fits you and you wear it and you don't. Again, if this is spring cleaning, so then now you're trying to figure out what to chuck. But now the priority really is Pesach. So Pesach has nothing to do with your sizes and whether there's colors on your palette. Pesach is whether there's chametz there or not. You can absolutely, the moment Pesach is over, go through your stuff and figure out what fits you and what doesn't. But if that's going to stress you out and it's going to take so much time that by the time Erev Pesach comes, you've only done that and nothing else, then it's not a priority for now. What else have I done that might be helpful? I break it into things. I do have a cleaning lady that comes, regularly, twice a week. So there's certain things that I want her to do and certain things that I can do, or certain things that I can do with the kids. So sometimes I organize for something that I can do and then something that she can do, and that way we can, work together. And I also organize what are the things that the kids can help with and that they enjoy helping with. I also don't want to make Erev Pesach a torture for them. It's just really sad when kids hate Pesach and Erev Pesach. Yeah, so those are really helpful and important. And then to have that checklist of what was in that room that you needed to get done it's really, really helpful to check things off. It just feels so rewarding. And it feels like you're going somewhere, like you're really accomplishing. At the end of the day, a big part of this is also how we talk to ourselves about Pesach. Like if we're like, oh, Pesach is coming, this is such a hassle, this is so painful, this is so hard. So then that's the attitude that's going to come into everything. But it's like, wow, I've done so much, I'm getting ready, I'm doing really well. Like that positive self-talk is really, really helpful. Okay, great. So in regards, a trick with kitchens. What we've done is that we take care of everything else in the house while decluttering the kitchen. So I decluttered my kitchen probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I just went through things just to make space, because what I do, again, every family is different, every apartment is different, but what I do is that we have cabinets above, and then we have cabinets under the sink and under the counter. So what we do is that I clear out the bottom first, and I, declutter to make space. And then I take everything from the cabinets above, I bring it down into the cabinets below, so that way all the fleishik stays with the fleishik side and the milchik stays with the milchik side. And that way I actually have, as long as I told the cleaning, I was like, it just needs to go under. Doesn't have to be super organized, but it just needs to be able to close. So that way I can tape that entire section and sell the whole bottom. It makes life much easier, because then even when Pesach is over, all I have to do is bring things back up. It makes it very, very simple. What I did was I bought bins, so that way certain things are organized into a bin. Like for example, spices can fit in one bin, and that way it's not like I'm bringing up and down the spice. It's more like I take the spices up and I bring them down for Pesach. Usually they sit on a rack and whatever, but just for Pesach, it makes more sense to just, do this motion as opposed to like having a whole balagan. After I'm able to bring everything down from the top and I put it in the bottom, I get her to wipe down, or I wipe down, depending what time we finish. I wipe down the whole top, spray it, etc., etc. And then I have this contact paper that I have. Again, if you have certain things that you've saved from year to year, it makes it much easier. So I have a contact paper that I just put against, all the surfaces. And then I'm able to have space to have a kosher LePesach kitchen that resembles what my regular kitchen is like. So that makes it a lot easier to transition from one to the other, as opposed to like having it boxes on the side, and it's like, for a lot of people it can be a really big hassle and a big mess. What we do is that we generally, again, we try and do the entire house. That last few days or whatever, what we do is that we eat we have a hallway by the front door. So if there's any chametz, we I'll get to that in a minute. But if there is any chametz, then we eat it by the front door, and that way we're not bringing new chametz into all the way like into the house. I usually set the switch off date. Again, this year's a little different, as I said earlier, because we're traveling, so we have to be ready for Pesach much, much earlier. But I usually set a date where by this point, usually it's like a few days before. I wouldn't say a full week, but sometimes it's a full week before Pesach, where the house is kosher to Pesach. If we happen to buy something, like sandwich bread or whatever, so we eat it either outside or we eat it by the front, by the front door, by the front hallway. And then during that week, I'm able to have a kosher Pesach house, so I'm not stressing out so much about cleaning anymore, and I'm also able to have a kosher Pesach kitchen, so I'm able to cook certain things. And if worse comes to worse, for whatever reason, I'm desperate. So there's also what I do is I have like a rice cooker or a Betty Crocker pizza maker or whatever that I'm able to cook a few things far away, like not in the kitchen. I'm able to plug that in into the hallway and, make some food. We all sit down on the floor, have a little kumsitz and whatever, and enjoy whatever food we're able to, so that way we have a solution that our house is kosher Pesach. I'm not stressing out till the last minute, but we're able to eat. Another thing that I do that I feel like has helped us, and I feel like it's helped a lot of people, is that a lot of people are nervous to switch too soon because it's like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna eat for a whole extra week? It's like 2 weeks of Pesach. So one thing is that the week before Pesach, I do buy kosher Pesach processed stuff. Like we don't eat it over Pesach, but the week before Pesach, when I don't want to bring any more chametz into my house, so fine, kosher Pesach, whatever it is that that your family eats, if you have a version that's kosher Pesach, so I'm able to you're able to bring it in, eat it without any worries that kids are walking around with their hands full of whatever and they're, you know, bringing chametz into the kosher Pesach home. Let me think if I am missing anything. Da, 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 da. Um, we usually give ourselves a day to kosher the kitchen, like a full day. One of the benefits or the perks, I guess, of doing it earlier is that it's much easier to be done when the kids are not home. So if I wait till they're off of school, I have a bunch of boys. So great question. I'll discuss that in a minute. If I wait until my kids are off from school and then I switch the kitchen, it's very stressful. Kids are running around and playing and there's hot water and it gives me I'm not very comfortable with it. So then we end up doing it at night and then we stay up late and then tired parents is no fun for anyone. So one of the things that we do is that we really, if we're able to kosher the kitchen by the time the kids are still in school, then that's an extra perk. If not, then it's all hashgacha pratis and we have to make do. Okay, there was a question. What do you do for challah, the Shabbos before Pesach? And I have another earlier question, which I'll answer in a minute. So what do we do for challah? We buy the smallest amount. Depends depends how close it comes to Pesach. So for example, this year, as I said, our house needs to be done by the next Tuesday, like this coming Tuesday. So for this Shabbos, what I did was I want to have the house completely done. Other than, yes, I like that a lot. I want to have the house done other than the dining room table and chairs. And then we're gonna either eat there. We actually discussed possibly eating first course on like a little, like foldable table in the hallway. But we'll see. We'll see up to what stage we're up to. But we're also very strict. Like the kids were a big part of the cleaning. So they know how hard it was to, put the effort to make this happen. So we make it a thing. Like if you're eating, you have to stay by the table. You can only get up once you're really done eating and then wash your hands and whatever. Someone suggested pretzel buns are small and aren't very crummy. I love that idea. That sounds great. Thank you for sharing. There was a question earlier. How does one eat healthy with all the restrictions that Pesach brings? That's actually a really, really great question. I personally feel I enjoy the wholesomeness of Pesach cooking. Um, I enjoy that I really get to eat that vegetable. Like I feel like sometimes during the year, it's like the vegetables are a side, and then in Pesach we have that's kind of all we got. So we kind of need to make them the main dish. So I feel like my family, in a certain sense, eats healthier during Pesach because there's less other like junky stuff. Um, but I hear that. We also, one of the things we've changed is that we've added our Pesach menu has a lot of meat, like even during the week. Um, because we don't enjoy being hungry. Like, I feel like a lot of Pesach, people spend it feeling very hungry, and that's kind of what it makes them. It's like, wow, what do I eat? What am I gonna eat? What am I gonna eat? So we make a lot of different like you know, like burger patties, for example. There's nothing you could make. We make burger patties that are, I mean, even if you don't have the buns on top and on bottom, we kind of have like deconstructed burgers or um some people make shepherd's pie or yapchick or whatever. So like we add more meat to the menu and that way people stay fuller for longer. Can you elaborate what it means? Make the most of the vegetables. Yes, yes. So for us, for example, we we take a lot of like whether it's vegetable or fruits and they become the main dish. Um like during the year, not all, like let's say a sweet potato. We make it, we add this and we add that and like we always like have to dress it up to make it extra. But on Pesach, we kind of just take the same sweet potato, we drizzle it with olive oil or whatever, whatever schmaltz, whatever you do, and some salt, put it in the oven, and suddenly like that freshness of just that sweet potato by itself without any of like the extra stuff comes out. Also, like many times kids are snacking on other things, but on Pesach, if you don't have any other things, so then they're snacking on pineapples and melons or bananas, So like I feel like for us, I enjoy not have I guess I enjoy the restrictions because it brings out um the fullness of the menu. Yeah. Okay, you got it. Yay. Baruch Hashem. Does anybody have any questions or I'm wondering where else I could take you? I mean, I could show you. I think I did the menu earlier. Um, oops. Wait. Okay. Um, oh, so another thing that once I have a menu, it also makes it a lot easier to make a shopping list that makes sense. A lot of people have this thing about, buying everything for Pesach before Pesach. Um, so if I have the menu, if I have the menu for Shvi and Achron Shel Pesach as well, um, then I have like more of an idea of what I can make. Oh, I have an idea what I want to share again. So this is my menus over the years. And then so next to it, I usually put the shopping list. So that way by next year, I'm able to learn, I'm able to like pick up like, okay, I need 12 tomatoes for this and a red pepper for that and almonds and walnuts and shallots. Again, I apologize for my handwriting, but oh yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, then I put the page on the cookbook where to find it. So that way I always know these are my recipes that I like and I can always know where to find them. Um, Okay, another thing that I do is once I make a shopping list, so I save it from year to year, so then I'm able to learn for next year. And then at the end of Pesach, I usually write for myself like, okay, we still have too many leftover or this or too many leftover or that. As I said, some of the processed stuff we buy for the week before Pesach, so like whether it's cheese sticks or yogurt or whatever, some people eat it, some people don't. So certain things we buy for the week before Pesach or the few days before Pesach so that we were not starving. Um, let me see what else I have. Oh, and then here are my list of what page all my recipes are. Because I made myself a recipe book, and then this is from the Purple Cookbook. Oh, okay. One other thing I wanted to share about the cooking aspect. There's a lot of great things that you can do beforehand that makes the cooking experience so much easier. Why is this not working? Sorry, 1 second. Um, okay, so one of the things we did a few years ago is that we bought a kind of like a crock pot specifically for Pesach. And the crock pot, especially having a few days worth of a kosher Le Pesach kitchen and not like waiting till the last minute to switch over, gives you the benefit that you can do overnight sauteed onions. So you chop up a ton of onions, you put them in the crock pot, you put some water or oil or whatever, depending how you do it. And then you leave it on low overnight. Oh, there we go. Walmart has a 6-quart crock pot for $20 for anyone looking to add to the Pesach toolkit. Yes, great. Thank you for sharing that. So anyway, so once you have that crock pot, then one night you can make overnight sauteed onions. What I do is I buy those like large round containers, and then I put all my sauteed onions on there. So that way every recipe under the sun basically calls for some sort of sauteed onion. So then all I have to do is reach out in the fridge, pull it out, take however amount, put it in. If I run out, I do another batch the next night. So the sauteed onions is really, really a great tool for us. Another great tool is that we make apple and pear compote. So we take that same crock pot after we're done with the onions. We obviously wash it. And then I peel a bunch of apples. I peel a bunch of pears, fill it up to the top, water up until the I'll get to it in a second. So water till not too much water because then it gets too wet, but water just until it touches the top layer basically. And then I leave it also either overnight or I leave it during the day while I'm cooking. That one I give it a little bit of a stir from time to time if need be, but usually you don't even have to. And it's a great dessert that's so easy to make. You barely you just peeled and put them in whatever, you chop out peel it and cut into slices and whatever, just take out the pits and then you put them in. It's sweet, it's delicious, it's also great for the digestive system to process all the delicious matzah that we're going to be eating over the next few days. Yeah, so that is another great dessert. What else do? I do tons of stuff with a crock pot. Oh, one of the Chalamoid meals I do, I just put chicken and grape juice or orange juice and cut up oranges or cut up pineapple, stick it on there. Sometimes we try and take the kids, out so that we're not going crazy. So we put it in, we leave it, and then by the time we come back from our trip, it's delicious chicken, nice made, warm. It's so great. So having a crock pot for Pesach can be really, really helpful, especially if you have the kosher Pesach kitchen for a few days or even 2 days. Someone wrote, I put oil in the onions overnight. I do actually. Someone else wrote pulled beef is also a great option. Yes, that's also a great option. So I really like it. You could even make mashed potatoes. I heard you could make it mashed potatoes on the crock pot. Anyway, there's tons of opportunities on there. One thing I found with this, I shared it. Devorah Leah Wagshul, you guys can check out her. She has an incredible amount of resources and recipes. I've really found it to be very helpful. I just went through it. I think I said that in the beginning a little bit, that I went through it and I found things that I enjoyed. Just because everybody else makes a recipe doesn't mean that that's what I want to be cooking or the amount of patchking that I want to be doing. So I really enjoyed going through that recipe, going through that document and finding recipes that fit with my family. I also over the years, I learned to I don't really explore that much during Yes, it can be shared on WhatsApp. Yes, thank you. If you can message me, I think you have my number. Um, oh, during the year, I have a hard time exploring with recipes. I feel like there's just so many ingredients that I feel like I need to follow the recipe a little bit more because if not, I might just mess it up. But on Pesach, being that there's so few ingredients, I really enjoy trying new things with the same ingredient. Like I could make a potato kugel that's shredded and a potato kugel that's maybe that's different 'cause it's potato kugel, but um I don't know. I feel like I take a potato and I could mince it and dice it and like somehow it tastes different on Pesach. So I really enjoy exploring within that realm. It can be really fun. It doesn't have to be this like dreaded the Pesach. That's why I kind of started with the menu about the aspect that like you could really enjoy the food on Yom Tov and your kids and your family and your guests can also like it doesn't have to be, oh, I wish I had something better. Um, yeah, let me see. Do you guys have any other questions? I hope I should I let me see if I can unmute if you guys would like to ask more questions. Second. Okay. You have the power to unmute yourselves if you'd like to ask any questions. I don't bite. At least not on Zoom. It's a joke. Let me see if I can think of anything else. I already spoke about kids and washing toys with the kids. I spoke about doing it in an orderly fashion, not waiting for Pesach or like, Pesach cleaning doesn't have to happen a day before when we're all stressed. Do we have to buy new garbage cans? That's a really great question. When we spoke about it with our Rav, the first year I was nervous. I didn't really want to buy a garbage can. So he told us to line it with because when we're putting chametz in, it like tends to stick and garbage cans tend to be like even just the lids tend to be dirty. So he told us to line it with garbage bags. Like, put a garbage bag over the lid and put a whatever. Now at the end we just bought a cheap garbage can just for Pesach, and that's actually where we store a lot of our Pesach stuff throughout the year. So we did. If you want to ask your of maybe. Do we need new towels? No. Or I mean, at least our Rav said no. You just have to wash them. Although I don't use dish towels. I don't use the regular dish towels that I use for the year on Pesach. So maybe that's just my own crazy chumrah. It might be that other people do, but I just don't. So, um, yeah,
Um,
I would,
can I
yeah,
add can I add something about the garbage can?
yes,
Basically, if my understanding is that if we take any kind of toxic chemical like a Clorox wipe, it will make the chametz unedible. So if we just wipe the outside of the garbage can with Clorox, um, then it's inedible and it's chametz free. And that, yeah, also requires doing the inside also,
right,
but there, you could probably just add a bag in the inside and only do the, so just an
yeah,
idea.
yeah, yeah. It's a good idea. That also works. Um, there was something else I was going to say. Um, yeah, I would my main takeaway to make this not stressful would be one, to get excited about the actual Pesach. Because if you're working towards something that you're excited about, it just makes it much easier and more enjoyable. So whether it's learning, Baruch Hashem at Living Chassidus, we have lots of good shirim, whether it's our channel and our recordings or upcoming Be'ezus Hashem, this upcoming Monday, we're also gonna have another exciting pre-Pesach shir. But also for for breaking down the the gigantic part, like taking away the spring cleaning aspect. Again, if you can live a week without it, just sell it. Like, do yourself a favor. If you have your tchotchke drawers where all your tchotchkes are, you don't have to go through memory lane and remember where you bought each tchotchke. Like, put tape on it, sell the thing. It's okay. You'll be able to live without your tchotchkes for a week. There's a lot of stuff that has become much easier now that I've come with this mindset that this is not the time to, like, again, if you want to declutter, every Hanukkah, I think to myself, okay, now begins our decluttering stage. From Hanukkah to Purim is declutter. From Purim to Pesach is Pesach cleaning. Like, that is my mantra. And if you're already at Purim, we're past Purim, so don't declutter now. I wouldn't. Just save yourself the hassle. Don't hate Pesach cleaning because you're spring cleaning. Just Pesach clean. As was mentioned earlier, that many things can be easily fixed if you just spray it with a strong, detergent or whatever, so that it's not chametz that's edible, etc., etc. So we have to balance. Not, I don't think it's a balance. Let me rephrase this. We need to have your shamayim, but we need to have your shamayim from what Hashem wants from us, not what we think we should be doing. So sometimes we're more religious than God, as they say. So if you have a question, you know this, and if you know me, you know that I say this all the time. Call a Rav. Rabbanim are wonderful, friendly, kind people, and they're more than happy to answer your question. If you ever have a fear of calling a Rav, call me and I will help you. We'll do this together and we'll get the answer that you need. Because sometimes many of these things were, I'm telling you, I remember going crazy over the years. Like certain creams, I would like look up every single ingredient, and I just don't need to do that. Either A, I can live without it, or B, I could ask my Rav. And a lot of Pesach cleaning again can be much simpler. This is not meant to be stressful. We meant to have your shemaim, and we're meant to make sure that there's no chametz, and that's what it is. And make it into bite-sized pieces. And if you yourself are not cleaning for Pesach, so maybe call a friend who is and offer to come and help. I recently had a friend of mine who's from Living Chassidus. She did that. She called me. She said, "Hey, I was wondering if there's anything I can do," and it was just so fun. The same cleaning that I would have done, I would have been like on my shoulders, like heavy. It was just so fun to just chat with a friend and be together while we wipe things. I wasn't even like we weren't cleaning my oven. It wasn't intense, but those types of things. If you're not Pesach cleaning for yourself right now, maybe reach out to someone who is and offer to just come over. Wiping a few toys or shaking some books and wiping the outside can be a lot more fun when you have a friend there to do it with you. Yeah. Any other questions? Mic is open if you want it. The recording won't see your face, just hear your voice. I want to make sure I give you guys as much as possible. I just remember spending many years stressing, so I'm trying my best to help others not. I gave you my menus. Ah, nice. Reminder to treat yourself to something nice for Pesach. Halacha says so with a winky. Yes. Yes. Pesach should be a Yom Tov that we can look forward to. We shouldn't. The tears at the Seder shouldn't be our own from the Pesach cleaning stress. Again, you can set your goalpost much sooner. Like, expect to switch your kitchen over several days before Pesach. You can even treat yourself by, adding into the budget to eat out one of those days, so that way you're not cooking in the Pesach kitchen, or you're not stressed out about what you're gonna eat. You can even make sandwiches and eat outside. We've done that a few times. I'm trying to think what else might be helpful. But I definitely think learn. Oh, another big perk of having a kosher LePesach house earlier is, okay, good question. Another big perk of having the kosher LePesach house done earlier is that you're able to take out your Haggadahs and all of your Pesach Svarim. How many people have reached the Seder and been mid like Haggadah, wishing you could read all the good snippets and all the little things on the bottom, but like you're too tired, we're in a rush because we have to eat the afikomen, etc., etc. So now, if your house is kosher Pesach earlier, so your bedtime reading and your reading books to the kids can be the bottom, like the bottom commentary to the beautiful Haggadahs that we have. How do you get the kids to help? That took many years of learning. Do less. Help, ask them to do less. When you ask them to do less, they'll want to do more. That's what I've learned. So for example, I say today we're only doing one bucket of toys. So then we get excited. I stick one kid in the bath, and then I stick the rest of the kids outside the door of the bathroom with, I mean, my kids some of them are younger, some of them are older, so not, depending on the age and whether it's appropriate or not. But sometimes the kid is not in the bath, sometimes the kid is outside of the bath, but then the bathtub is, has some water in it. They dunk the toy, like they wash it or whatever, and then they pass it to the other kid who then passes it to the dryers. And then we put music or, we talk. And this is one of the times that one of our friends came over. So they were just excited because we had a friend and she was helping and they were helping and they were like, just make it fun. And then by the end, we finished that bucket and they were like, oh, wow, we need to do another one. What about the Menchies and the Legos? And so I was like, okay, we'll do another bucket, or I'll even say like, no, we'll do tomorrow, and like that way it keeps the excitement building up as opposed to, okay, let's do a 3-hour session, and then less than an hour in, they're gonna be like finished, and they're resenting the whole thing. So ask for less, ask for less, and usually they'll want more. Add music, do things that are doable for them. So for example, I used to ask for them to like do all their books. So now I just get them to spray. One sprays, one wipes, and the other one shakes. Like I ask for less. I get them to do little and then find the excitement. And then at the end we show like, wow, look, the whole bookshelf is done. This is so exciting. And like we decorate it, they help put the tape around it and whatever. So yeah, the kids to help is I ask for less. I hope that was helpful and child friendly. Yeah, age appropriate things for each kid. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I guess we've covered a lot. If you ever have any questions, I'm more than happy to, help in whatever way I can. And I wish everybody an incredible, incredible time preparing for Pesach. This can be with the right mindset and with the right excitement. This, how do you get adults? I hope I know that. With the same. The question was, how do you get adults to help? LOL. Ask for less and make it fun and put music, dance around, chit chat and bring a friend. How much to do? So much to do. How don't you get overwhelmed? That's a great question. I actually just did this I was speaking to a friend last week or 2 weeks ago. Again, for me, my Erev Pesach is coming up. I have to be done for Pesach by Tuesday. So I'm like mentally already there. so she kept saying like, wow, this is so much to do. And I said, wow, we've done so much. Like we're doing, and we've done so much. So I think just reminding yourself to celebrate the wins. Like, Baruch Hashem, my room is ready. Baruch Hashem, we've done all these, um, most of the toys. Baruch Hashem. So it's like, okay, fine. I have a few other things that need to be done. And if you're able to get help, also get help. And if you're able to set some time when like either your husband's available or a friend is available or um do so. But just celebrate the wins. Celebrate the wins. And again, I don't know if you heard when I said it earlier, but like if you make a small list, let's say 5 things that need to be done in each room, and then as you go, you check them off, it just feels really accomplishing and it feels really good. It feels like a big success. So yeah, I hope that helps. Yes. From what age around do you try to keep the kids awake for the whole Seder? That's a great question. I don't try to keep anyone awake unless they want to be awake. So that they basically decide their own age. I know that many of my kids oh, another trick with Seder is I feed them Shulchan Aruch as soon as the Seder starts. So my kids, as soon as they say the Manishtana, I feed them dinner. Um, Sometimes they eat like at a side table or whatever. I manage to like squeeze them somewhere so that there's no like a box issue with the matzahs on the table. But I feed them. I don't wait. I do not make them wait for Shulchan Aruch, and that way whoever wants to stay awake makes the effort and stays awake. Whoever does not want to stay awake, then, my baby goes to sleep. My toddler usually falls asleep. Many of them just fall asleep on the couch. Whenever they're ready to fall asleep and they fall asleep, I'm perfectly happy for them too. Yeah. So whenever they're committed enough and working hard enough to try and stay awake for the whole Seder, so then that's when they do it. Yeah. Mm. Oh, somebody just asked about the Seder. Another tip about the Seder is up I set up the table before Yom Tov starts. I don't set the table after. So that way it just takes one more thing that's off my head. So I have the table fully set. It's not so hard because we don't set much of the stuff. It's just like the matzahs and the kairas, and then I have a packet of disposables, fancy disposables that we use for the actual food. So then that's like ready to just like dish out when Shulchan Aruch comes, and then that way there's no like mix-ups. I also buy little red or purple like little disposable plates, and that's what they use for their kiddush cups, and that way wine is not spilling everywhere and it's also not spilling on the main plate where they're gonna eat afterwards. Trying to think what else I do for that. Yeah, I think that's mainly it. Any other questions?
What do you use to cover your counters?
Oh, great question. We use the like that cardboard plastic. I forgot what it's called. Do you know what it's called?
Corrugated plastic.
Yes, corrugated plastic. So we use that. I like it because we cut it to size 1 year, and then as long as after Pesach we, wipe it and clean it, we can put it away, and then I put tape on it to put which counter, it is so that I know where to put it for next year. Obviously that you can't put hot food on it, but it definitely comes in very handy that you can just like plop it down. You're not like sizing and taping every single year. I tape it to the wall and whatever, but that really, really helps. And then my cabinets, I put contact paper that's already, it's already sized. And again, when I roll it up, I put a tape around it and I put, fleishik side, or milchik side or whatever, so I know which one goes to what next year. So that way, oh, and then Matzeh, Mashiach Suda, you want to write some notes for yourself. It takes an extra 10 minutes, but take a piece of paper and say, "Dear future me," things to remember. Buy more of this. We ran out of that. Like one year, one of our peelers, I don't know what happened, either broke or I don't know, whatever. So I had to remind myself for next year to buy a peeler. So either I went out and bought it, and then I added to my Pesach kitchen right away so I would have it, or many times I just make a note for myself, like buy a peeler, buy this, or the zhuzher needs to upgrade, or so you make your notes for yourself. Yeah. Good. Any other questions? Okay. I want to wish everybody an incredible, incredible process in cleaning out our personal chametz. This is also, as the Alter Rebbe talks about, this is also a time when we do some, soul searching and trying to get rid of things that we don't want, and we're cleaning it out with love and with anticipation for the Geula. And I want to wish everybody a kosher and freilich and Pesach. It should be easy, enjoyable. You should really, truly feel the freedom. And may we all celebrate with Mashiach right now. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Pleasure. Good night.
Night.